Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Her Wellness Business Empire, where I try to come to you every week to share inspiration, tips, ways to help you grow your wellness business in a way that is aligned with you and your way of being, and to really help you kind of unleash or uncover your unique value that you bring to your industry. So today I'm kind of shifting up a little bit, and I think this is something that's really important, especially as it relates to women in the wellness industry, women in general, and women in the wellness industry. And that's about your concept of abundance, really unlocking abundance in your wellness business and what that really means to you and what that really means in general. Because actually, what abundance means is something just like Chinese medicine is unique to everybody. Everybody's definition is different. Being abundant, like, who knows what that means to you? We can only know that for ourselves. But the one thing we do need to have that mindset, right? Understand what abundance mindset means in the context of your holistic wellness business and really life, because you can't separate those two things, right? So I'm not a money coach, I'm not an abundance coach, but I know in my journey over the last 20 plus years as an entrepreneur, I have struggled with this abundance mindset, thinking that as an acupuncturist and seeing patients, I shouldn't worry about becoming wealthy or generating a lot of income or worrying about that. My only job is to help my patient. And that's, obviously that is not serving you and it's not serving the patient, because abundance is infinite. It's not a finite experience, right? It's an energy. We're talking about holistic wellness, and abundance is just part of that. You can't be only, there's yin and yang, there's opposites, there's transformation. You can't only be putting your energy out and not receiving it in. You cannot grow as a business. You cannot help more people if you're not open to the possibility of an abundance lifestyle and success and freedom, or whatever it is for you, because there's a difference between having an abundance way of thinking versus a scarcity way of thinking. And again, I wish I could say I had this dialed in, but I don't. I have my weaknesses. I was thinking about, there's a great book, and I'm just going to grab it real quick because I just happen to be here. It's called The Gap and the Gain. And my good friend, Gila Kurtz, who's an amazing entrepreneur, told me about this book. And basically, the concept is how much we we focus on the gap rather than the gain. So here's an example, like, you have become a practitioner, whatever your modalities, whether you're an acupuncturist, a chiropractor, a massage therapist, a health coach, whatever it is that you do in your wellness business, that is amazing that you got to the point that, for me, as an example, that I got my master's degree, that I got a national certification, and everything it took for me to just get licensed as an acupuncturist. That is amazing. So I have to think about, like, all the ways of being that I had to be in order to make that happen. And I want you to think about that for yourself as well. Unfortunately, a lot of us focus not on that, but we focus on the gap, the lack, what we don't have, what we haven't created yet. We focus on what our bank account doesn't have, what our business doesn't have, the clients we don't have, rather than focusing on the gain, the fact that we have any of that we have a practice, that we have an online course, we have a group program, we have patients, clients, what have you. You've created a business, you've gotten licensed or a degree or whatever it is that you needed to do to get there. So if we stay more in that mentality, that thinking, more of the gain on a daily basis, things are going to shift. Things are going to shift. The other thing that I find is, which is very common with anybody who's an entrepreneur, anybody who's probably a human going through a human experience, is that we tend to, and it's unfortunately so much easier to do this now with social media, is that we tend to compare ourselves to others. And the problem with that is that we compare where we are. First of all, we should never compare. If we can help it, please don't compare. There's so many pitfalls in trying to compare ourselves to others. First of all, maybe they've been doing it longer. Second of all, we don't have any clue about what we're just perceiving. We perceive their success. We don't really know their success, right? So we don't know their expenses, their lifestyle, their relationships. And so we make up these ideas of what their success is, and then we compare it to where we are. We don't know what they've gone through to get to where they are. Like I hear often, like they're an overnight success that took them 10 years, right? So we have these expectations of thinking that we should be somewhere, and just trust, instead of just trusting and being content for where we are, having that content and forgiveness, and just trusting that you're on your perfect path, right? There's too many roadblocks that hinder our financial success, or thought of what success should be. And again, how do we shift from lack and scarcity to the gain, what we've already created, right? We have so many fears of, I mean, really, so much of this can boil down to our own self-worth. In Chinese medicine, that's like that metal element. So, how about focusing on nourishing or encouraging that self-worth, that value? Again, remembering everything that you've already created, what you do, your joy of helping others, because you're not as far as you think you wanted to be. You think you're an imposter, right? Like you have this imposter syndrome, or maybe you have limiting beliefs of what money represents. Everybody talks about money is energy. Well, sure, everything is energy. If you think about Chi, or you think about Einstein, he said everything is energy. But who determined what any certain amount of money's energy is? We give the meaning to everything. We are meaning makers, right? So we have to determine what this energy of abundance feels like, looks like. It's not about this piece of paper or this number in your bank account, or the number of clients or patients you have, or students you have in your program. It's about remembering the value that you're giving and the value that you are receiving. And then remembering that when it comes time to raise your prices, right, to charge premium prices, it's because of the transformation that you are offering. You are helping somebody transform their life. And even if it's, one thing in their life, whether it's a pain or a mental stability or whatever it is, hormone shifts or weight loss, confidence, like whatever it is that you're doing, that has a ripple effect. And it's changing so much else in their lives and the people who surround their lives. It has a ripple effect out. So don't be afraid to raise your prices, because I think a lot of people are afraid to raise their prices because they're afraid that people are not going to pay for their services. But if we remember the value that we're providing, yeah, of course, there's ways of sharing the transformation and the outcome that they're going to receive and help them see that. But it starts with our own belief. I know I've been through all these challenges. I still bump up against these challenges of this abundance mindset when things aren't going the way I thought they should go, or I didn't get as many students in a course or what have you. That is just part of the process, right? You have to be willing to keep going and not stop. So first and foremost, cultivate, because it really does come down to our self-worth. So I want you to remember, I want to encourage you to recognize the value and your expertise and everything you've created so far. Even if you're just beginning, it takes courage, right? It takes courage. And don't be afraid. I remember the first time, it was back in like 2009 or something. It was the first time I ever went to like this big group coaching experience in person. And they challenged us to raise our prices. So I think at that time I was charging like $65 for an acupuncture session. And that moment I took my prices to $80. And you know what? Nobody blinked. They still kept coming, and I didn't lose patience. And so don't be afraid to raise your prices. Don't be afraid to know your value. I think there's also this, there's a balance, and everything is so personalized to you, right? So I think there's a lot of people that are way overcharging. And I think most people, however, are undercharging. So don't be afraid to raise your prices and see how it feels, even if it's a little bit at a time. The most important thing is to focus on what the energy of abundance feels like. What does that feel like? How does that feel in your body? What does it look like? What does it mean to you? What would be the outcome? And really focus on that rather than what you don't have. Focus on where you're going, what you're going to create. Create an affirmation that might help your mindset, but really focus on where you've come and then what the energy, like tap into that energy and that feeling of what having an abundant life means, right? Reach out to community, connect with your fellow practitioners. It's really important to stay in that energy, and remembering what you're offering is so powerful and so transformational. And I want you to know that you deserve an abundant life. Whatever that means to you, you deserve it. And you are doing such great things in the world that you can't, if you keep going, you can't fail. But if you focus, the key, I think, is that we focus on comparing, we focus on what we don't have, we focus on the lack, we focus on the scarcity, instead of focusing on the gain, where you've come, how far you've come already, and what the feeling of an abundant life and business feels like. So I would love to hear from you. What does that feel like to you? What does that feel like to you? What does an abundant life and business feel like to you? What is one step you can take that will encourage you to be in this abundant energy instead of lack energy? I would love to hear from you. I hope this was helpful. It's something I'm learning all the time, and I have a feeling most of you, because I've spoken to so many of my students and my clients, and I know this is a big part of it. They, I often see people getting stuck. They're creating a course, and they'll get caught up in the weeds, and and it will block them from moving forward. And I see this all the time. And it's not because of the thing that they're working on, because they're perfectly capable of working on that thing. It's just the fear of, what if this is not right? What if this is not perfect? What if I'm doing this wrong? It doesn't matter. The most successful people, A, have an abundant mindset, first and foremost, and secondly, do not care about failing, because sometimes the fail is the biggest gift you can get. It's the biggest lesson you can get. Oh my gosh, I have failed a million times. I've done Facebook ads that flopped. I've launched courses that flopped. I mean, it just happens. And so you have to take that in this abundant mindset and say, okay, where's the gift? What do I get to shift to make it better next time? So fail fast, fail forward, keep going, stay in that abundant mindset, remember your worth. And I can't wait to hear from you. And just know that I'm rooting for you. You're doing an amazing job. There are so many more people waiting for you, and they need you. And they need what only you have, because there's no other you like you out there. So there is no competition, right? So don't worry about that. Stay in your lane, keep going. Remember your unique gifts. I just launched a self-paced course for only $37, and this is going to be a deep dive into helping you really peel back the layers and unearth and uncover what it is that's unique about the value. This will help you with your mindset. It'll help you understand the value that's unique to you, your secret sauce, and what you bring to the world. And who are the exact, if you don't know who the clients that your ideal clients are, if you don't know them specifically, you can't attract them. So I encourage you to just take this course. It's got an amazing workbook. It's very thorough. It walks you through the process. It's a deep dive, and I think it's going to help your confidence. And it's going to help you be more in an abundant mindset, because you're going to be clearer about what you do offer in the world. All right. For now, have a great week, and I will be back. I want to hear from you. What is one thing you're going to do to shift that mindset? Take care.